This episode will be completely taken out of context. Welcome to the Fact Check This podcast.
All right, Fact Check This podcast. And today, I'm going to follow up on last week's topic of The Boys. I wish I had found this article beforehand, and it just, as dumb luck would have it, it happened to pop up on my feed after I did the episode last week. And I was like, oh man, that would have been perfect to go along with it. And I considered doing it on Thursday, and then I was busy, and it didn't work out. So it'll be regular episode for this week, and that'll kind of help me round out the rest of these episodes as we wind down the show. So let's jump right into it. It's, like I said, it's a follow-up of last week. I have always enjoyed reading these articles from Salon, The Atlantic, Esquire, all of the Mother Jones, all of the usual suspects for just the most retarded uber left-wing take on everything. And this is why journalists aren't taken seriously, because they write pure slop like this. And I think it has been funny and interesting to watch sort of a shift that's happened over the last really over the last like 4 years. Maybe not even that long, but pretty recently there's been a shift where people just aren't putting up with this shit anymore. People don't care what these incredibly biased journalists have to say anymore. That's why you see stuff like the Free Press that's kind of run by Barry Weiss, who's also been put in charge of what was it, ABC News, or I can't remember. It's why you see like Jeff Bezos told the Washington Post, like, stop writing obviously biased bullshit and just start reporting the news or you're going to be fired. It's why you see CNN just like gutting their entire everything. Because people don't want this propagandized bullshit anymore. They just want you to report what's going on factually. And there's been some pushback. So, but with that being said, platforms like Salon, The Atlantic, Esquire, you know, they still provide a sounding board for retarded leftists to get all of their most retarded views out there. And so we'll take a look at one of those. The backlash to The Boys finale proves that everyone missed the point. Too many fans of the series were on board with Homelander. But why? Gosh, I wonder why. I wonder why. Yeah, journalists are no different from AI slop nowadays, as Trey says. And the really funny thing about it is the number of times you see the journalists forget to remove the prompt from their AI slop. They'll plug it into ChatGPT or whatever else, and they'll just copy paste the entire thing that is written by their AI, and then they forget to remove the prompt where the AI says, I can change this, or I can tweak this or this to make it sound more like this or this. Or like it'll just be the full-on prompt of write something under these parameters, and they leave that in there. That not only do they have the worst opinion of everything, generate an article about The Boys that hates MAGA voters and makes fun of them. It wouldn't surprise me if that has been an actual prompt that one of them used to write an article like this. This one is actually really short, so I assume that it was written by a legitimate retard. I say that because everything that I write is really short, and I am kind of a retard. So there's a good chance that this was written by a real person because it is pretty short. And it doesn't really get to a point, which is also the funny thing. Like, they think that everybody's missing the point, but then when you ask them what the point is, they'll spin circles around not actually telling you what the point is. And I felt like that's what this article also did. So let's read it, get it out of the way. The Backlash to the Boys finale proves that everyone missed the point. Too many fans of the series were on board with Homelander, but why? In his first minute on screen, Homelander killed someone. It's easy to forget because it's played off as a joke to lay down the show's satirical tone, and it was 7 long years ago when The Boys premiered on Amazon Prime. But over 5 long seasons, The Boys repeatedly, relentlessly, incessantly made it clear that Homelander, played by a memorable Anthony Starr in a career-defining performance, was not aspirational nor sympathetic. He's a careless and callous asshole whose bulletproof body, super strength, and laser vision are all pieces of a preciously thin armor for a fragile ego incapable of genuine human connection. None of that is inaccurate, as a matter of fact. No one is supposed to think Homelander is cool. See, this is where you miss the mark. This is where you miss the point. You can maybe see him as tragic and the circumstances behind his origin as a manufactured product abhorrent, but he's the closest thing to in the show to an inhuman monstrosity. He's a testosterone-driven menace with a pathetic insecurity that his powers cannot afford him all he actually craves, like love and validation. It's also alarming and incredibly stupid that a few too many people who watched The Boys didn't get it at all. I don't think anybody who watched The Boys didn't see all of that. Like, it's missing the mark of the entire Donald Trump 2024 campaign. They're like, oh, but he's a felon. Oh, but he's done this. Oh, but he's done that. Oh, but he's this bad guy. Yeah. We know. We get it. We just don't fucking care. That's where they miss the mark. They think you don't see that Homelander has all of these problems. You don't see that Homelander has all of these, insecurities and failings. No, we see it. We get it. He's also the only one who's willing to stand up to a corrupt system and try to do something about it. Whether or not what he's doing is right doesn't matter. He's the only one with fucking balls. I know this was written by a woman, or at least a male feminist, says Trey. Actually, let me check. I think it was a male. Well, now I can't find the author. Anyway, we'll get to it. You were right. I mean, it's for Esquire, so obviously Eric Francisco. Oh, there's 100% chance that dude's gay, just with a last name Francisco. Yeah. Yesterday, The Boys reached its conclusion with its final episode, Blood and Bone. The satirical superhero series is now the latest TV hit show to whiff it at the finish line, at least according to its ardent fans. Across Reddit, Twitter, and even Barstool Sports, viewers are taking umbrage that among other things, Homelander didn't go scorched earth, a catchphrase that went from a prediction for a CGI apocalypse extravaganza to outright expectation that didn't pan out in the slightest. And for those who are watching the video, generational aura loss for Homelander. What a pathetic way to go. The way that they sent Homelander out at the end was just overdone horseshit. And it, like, Homelander has to die. That's the way this has to end. In the comics, Butcher kills Homelander. You have to have Homelander die. But the way he goes out could have been done way better. And this is like this sniveling bullshit is what we got. It was just writers, TV writers are not creative enough to come up with an actual ending for something. And you've seen that multiple times. Multiple times. Lost, the original run of Dexter, Game of Thrones. They just Stranger Things. They just keep doing it. They keep whiffing at the ending. They need to find someone who actually has creative talent to, like, they're good at building something, but they're building something that's supposed to go, forever and ever. And they just really suck at figuring out how to stop doing it. And even a lot of times the way like Stranger Things, it's written to end, but they didn't really write an ending. They just wrote but maybe later, something else. Yeah. as Trey says, Homelander is obviously supposed to be a defiant character in his death, but they can't let him do that because that would mirror Trump's fight after being shot. And the Homelander of the comics is a defiant death. Like, he doesn't go out sniveling. He's Homelander to the end. There's ways to do this well, and instead, this is what they chose to do. That's why there's Backlash. Instead of widespread fire and brimstone, what the fans saw instead was a final showdown between two men, series anti-hero Billy Butcher, who is actually the tragic anti-hero whose twisted worldview has footing. At season 1, Butcher, you get it. But the problem with Butcher as the hero of the series is he devolves into just pure psychopathic behavior. Like, he's not even an anti-hero. He's every bit the villain that Homelander is, just from a slightly different perspective. But that's the problem with the leftist media is, like, if you look at this from a political perspective, the way they have done in most of their writing about this, there are as bad, if not worse, things going on the left, but they will completely ignore that and even find ways to twist themselves around in knots to explain why that's actually a good thing, just because it's opposing to Trump. And so when they build this world where Homelander is supposed to personify this evil Trump character, then no matter how horrible the other side is, because they oppose that evil Trump character, they're the good guys and they're actually the heroes of the story. And there are no heroes in The Boys. That's the thing. Like, you're not supposed to think anybody's a good guy in this. How did they all miss the point? There are no good guys here. They're all bad. They're all terrible. Like, it's just, they think that, and I don't think people who watched it and viewed Homelander not as a hero, but as at least a sympathetic character that you could understand, thought he was a good guy in any way. Like, nobody thinks Trump, nobody who pays attention. All right, you have to remove the BoomerCon idiots from the equation. Your great aunt on Facebook doesn't count here. nobody in the most staunch Trump supporting demographic thinks Trump is a good guy, right? We don't think he's a good Christian. We don't think he's going to do a lot of the things he says. We know he's a lot of bloviating, and he does it for the show. We don't care. It's the fact that he is actually the opposition to this corrupt system. And anything that he does happen to accomplish, that's a win. But they think that they, and by they I mean journalists and people who think like the author of this, think that we believe Trump is some messiah, that we believe that Homelander is the good guy, that like it's a complete lack of understanding. And you can go back to episodes I've done that talk about diversity of political thought and like the heat map stuff, and look at the way the leftist brain works when you look at studies that have been done on political ideologies, and like they are so hive mind group thinky that once they've established their little bubble of truth, they don't have room for anything outside of that. Whereas the right is a lot more scattered on what is right and wrong and how you go about accomplishing that. They have such a tight little ideology that they can't allow for anything outside of it. So they can't understand how anybody could see Homelander as a sympathetic character, if nothing else. Instead of widespread fire and brimstone, what the boys' fans saw instead was a final showdown between two men, series anti-hero Billy Butcher, who is actually the tragic anti-hero whose twisted worldview has footing, and Homelander. Inside a ravaged Oval Office, Homelander is rendered powerless and spends his last few minutes facing down a fair fight that he knows he'll lose when he offers to suck Billy's dick for mercy. The boys makes its long, belabored point in bold print. Homelander was always a wuss, hiding behind superpowers. Which just, the ending was so like, the ending was so anticlimactic. Like, no, I don't know. I don't know where the logic came from that thought this was a good way to send it off. Other than you want to take the character that you have spent the entire season building up to be this Trump-like character, and you want to humiliate them. You don't want to write a good ending. You want to write a humiliation story. And that's what they did, and that's why it was bad. They didn't write a good ending. They wrote a humiliation piece. They wrote an Esquire story, in effect. Homelander's own son, Ryan, calls him out in the same episode. You were already the most powerful person on Earth, and you were a lonely, miserable piece of fucking shit, Ryan says. Scaring people into calling you God doesn't make you God, and deep down, you know that. Homelander is not evil Superman. Whether good or evil, Superman has dignity and a moral framework from which he operates. See the 2013 video game and tie-in comic Injustice Gods Among Us, whose evil Superman isn't an egotistic hedonist, but a paranoid control freak whose sense of truth and justice is inverted. I'm not going into Injustice and how the left misses the mark on that as well. Anyway, Homelander, who was grown in a lab with his powers, is chaos incarnate. He has never known suffering. He has never known what it's like to lose. Homelander is a baby. No, actually, newborns cry because every sensation is new to them and they have no other form of expressing how they feel. For the first time since he was abused by white coats stress testing his fire retardant skin, Homelander feels pain and his life in actual jeopardy. So he's on his knees, willing to eat shit if it means he doesn't have to face what is justifiably coming for him. He's never known suffering, never known what it was like to lose. Homelander is a baby. This is what they think of Trump. They write their emotions on their sleeve with the way they do this. That's what they think of. And if that's what you took away from Homelander, he's never known suffering, never known what it was like to lose, that he's just a crybaby. Did you even pay attention to any of his backstory through the other seasons where they like explain how he was created and where he came from? And like, they need him to be these things because it justifies the end. Like with Trump, they need Trump to be all of these things because it justifies left-wing psychopaths trying to shoot him multiple times. The narrative justifies the end for these people. And the narrative doesn't have to include or pay attention to the actual story that's been told up to that point. The narrative just has to be what you write it and what you say it is to justify your ending. Not every fan of The Boys is media illiterate. Let's also not forget Elon Musk's Twitter, which allows blue check accounts to collect pocket change for engagement. But it is a painful symptom of our political reality, where truth is often remodeled like putty that people can so brazenly miss the point. This isn't new. Walter White famously had Breaking Bad fans rooting for him to keep murdering and selling meth, a debilitating drug that wreaks havoc on the body as it does on families and communities. Talk about missing the mark. I've never watched a single episode of Breaking Bad. But what I do know from everything that I've read about it is that people weren't cheering for Walter White to keep murdering and selling meth. They were cheering for him because he was standing up against an oppressive, corrupt system. Like, they are so over the top sold into the system is the only way that we can have a civilized society that they miss the fact that the system is what has deteriorated society to the point that it's at now. Homelander is just another Heisenberg, a reprehensible figure who remains impossibly aspirational for a disturbing few. They conveniently forget Homelander's fetish for breast milk, and that his only consensual sexual partner was a living Nazi. The fetish for breast milk is entirely written into this to make him seem more grotesque. The way they fetishize aspects of Trump and anybody else that they don't like, whether those are good, bad, or otherwise, or even real. His only consensual sexual partner was a living Nazi. They make a big deal about Stormfront being a Nazi, but that was just a historical fact. That wasn't like it wasn't a thing, right? Like, nobody else watched that and thought, oh yeah, they're really like playing up how much of a Nazi Stormfront is, and she's trying to like bring back Nazism. It's like, that was just a historical fact of when she was created and the time frame and who her creator was, that he was and she was a Nazi. That was it. It wasn't anything more complicated than that. But they made it a big thing. Like, Nazis have to be super duper evil. And, you know, the reason the Nazis are so evil is because the Nazis opposed all of the most degenerate parts of leftism. So that's why they're super duper evil, right? Anyway, let's wrap this up. Like the show's abundance of in-universe Homelander worship, it's easy to imagine they're projecting onto someone else because he can get away with whatever they themselves cannot. It's actually so funny that the not insignificant amount of them fantasized Homelander would burn the world, or were certain for that to happen, only for Homelander to end things a wimp with a bloody nose. As if the mountains of bodies and violence across 5 seasons weren't enough to get the point across. In the end, Homelander faced the consequences of his crimes. If only more people did too. Again, that ending, if only more people did too, that is them using their narrative to justify the end, which is they want you dead. If you do not agree with them 100% on all of their little bubble of ideology that we talked about earlier, they want you dead. They want you humiliated and embarrassed, eating shit, dead. That is the brain bug that is fucking killing society. It's that type of shit. These people are fucking insane, and they think their insanity makes them the good guys. They are the Billy Butchers. Billy Butcher is absolutely not a good guy. He is quite possibly a worse bad guy than Homelander. But because he opposes Homelander, and in the comics, like, it's very obvious, because after Butcher wins and kills Homelander, he goes on to be even worse. If you haven't figured out that Butcher is the bad guy and there really are no good guys in this story, you are brainwashed by liberal ideology and have to see everything as Orange Man bad. Anybody who supports Orange Man is also bad. They all need to die. That's what this author basically told you at the end. It's fucking disgusting. And that's what they think, sincerely. It's not that we miss the point. It's that we see it all too clearly. And the point is, they are insane. But they can't see it. And that's fucking tragic. All right, that'll do it for today. Yeah, I'll be back with the Lord of the Rings follow-up next week, I know I'd said I was going to do that one this week, but I found this article and I really thought this needed to be talked about. So here it is. Here we are. Sorry to kind of rush out. My daughter had her wisdom teeth taken out yesterday, and everything went really well. But she is now texting me, which means that she's needing some yogurt or pudding or a pain pill or an ice pack or something. Anyway, my phone keeps buzzing, so I have to go, which is why I had to wrap this up in a very season finale type of way. Speaking of, the final episode of this will be Justin and Jim's final Dumb Gay Shit Show. I will try to get as many people on, and we will not go out with a whimper, but we will go out with an absolute bang. So once I get that scheduled, I will let everybody know when we're doing it, and it'll be a live evening show where we will drink and have fun and talk, and anybody who wants to join in is more than welcome to take part in the Fact Check This series finale as soon as I get that scheduled. In the meantime, hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I will catch you next week. Later.